Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokatz. Welcome to Star Nation's Communications from Home. It's Tuesday night, August 8th, just in case some people were wondering what date it is this late in the evening. I don't know. Sometimes I forget what day it is, right? And I think the call just dropped for my guest. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do the introduction of her and all of that, and then we'll get her back on the line, okay? So as we're doing that, welcome everybody. Hi, Connie. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to the show. Tonight's show, my guest is JanBeaver, and she is a contributing writer for Star Nation's magazine. And she's one of our featured writers, which means that she writes every other month for us, or at least quarterly. And she writes from a perspective that is rather unique because she is a writer, she is a published author, and she also is a Native American woman. So she has a very kind of unique perspective on what she writes about. And so welcome everybody. And what I would like you to do, if you wouldn't mind, you know, the drill, we're going to share and like the show so that people can remember that, oh yeah, the show's going on. And also for those people who may not even know that there's a show like this, they can join us, right? So if you wouldn't mind going and liking the show, because I'm doing it right now on my phone. Yeah. All right. I was just being told the call has been dropped, and we're going to pick that up as soon as we share. As soon as we share the show. And while you guys are doing that, thank you, Connie, for sharing it. I am going to get Jan back on the line to call her. And so you're going to hear a little bit of the Skype stuff going on, you know? And so that's okay. Just so you know that you just aren't hearing things. Hi, Jan.
Hi.
We're live. We're live on the air, and I was just telling everybody that we're getting you back online. And the wonders of technology, you know, when it works, it's really great.
Being in rural Canada.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring your picture up because I have a picture of you during our trip to England, Wales, and Ireland last year. And so I'm going to tell the listeners a little bit about you from your bio from the magazine, okay? You probably haven't heard this one in a while. So Jan is an educator, author, storyteller, curriculum writer, workshop presenter, and a traditional dancer from Alderville First Nation, Canada. She was a classroom teacher and an outdoor education teacher for many years in the Toronto District School Board. She also served as a senior education advisor for Ogee-Magwa Tribal Council in Rama. Jan has written 2 graphic novels for Scholastic Canada entitled Rebel Leader and Crying for a Vision, and 1 graphic novel for Bold Print series at Oxford University Press entitled Running Deer. She is also the author of 2 Canadian history books for older students entitled The 10 Most Significant Crossroads in Aboriginal History and The 10 Most Inspiring Aboriginal Leaders. And she also writes for Star Nation's magazine on a quarterly basis. And Jan brings to the magazine a very unique perspective because she is an Ojibwa, Anishinaabe, Kwe, an Anishinaabe woman. And so she brings her culture and her perspective from that culture to the magazine. And I tell you what, I love reading your articles, Jan. It doesn't matter if you're writing about the Mount Snowdon in Wales, or if you're writing about whale songs, or your experiences in Hawaii, because you bring a certain quality to the magazine that most people maybe have not experienced. And so welcome to the show, and so glad that you're one of our writers.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Now, what I'm going to do, Jan, is that we've got some listeners listening and watching the live stream show on Facebook. I'm just going to asking them if they could let me know if they can hear your voice as you start to talk, because then if not, then I can turn up the volume, and so that they have good audio. Okay. So let's get started. Since maybe some of our listeners may not know you other than reading your article. And you also did a interview with Nami, my business partner too, Denise Iwana, a couple of years ago. So maybe some people heard that particular interview. But if you could please introduce yourself in the old way, in the cultural way, so our listeners can hear from your culture.
Okay. I would say bonjour. Oshawakan Kwakwayanishnakas, Makwado de Alderville. My name is Yellow Cloud Woman, and I am Bear Clan from Alderville First Nation. And my territory here in Canada, my home community, First Nation, is located not too far north of the shores of Lake Ontario, in central part of Ontario, south central part. And I currently have a home on Lake Simcoe, which is not far from there. And right now I'm speaking to you from our cottage, which is on Georgian Bay. So thus the bouncing around of cell phone signals on Precambrian shield rock sometimes bounces me right off the call. But that's just a little bit about where I am right now.
Well, thank you for that. And, just the fact that you share where your cabin is, and you and I spoke about that yesterday when we were doing our audio check. Where you're located and the bedrock that's there. One of the things that we talked about yesterday was the energy field that's there, and
right.
And I think I used the word pristine because I said you must have a really good spiritual connection there, and you must sleep really well.
Yeah, it's really such beautiful country here, and so we're out of all of the heavy electromagnetic fields of the city of Toronto or other urban centers, and so it just has a much different feel for me to be here, and I really truly believe Spirit has asked me to try and, as much as possible, remove myself from those fields just to do the spirit work that I need to do. So, and it's just so magical here. Like yesterday, I had a friend up, and we were swimming in the bay out in front, and a beaver surfaced just about 8 feet away.
Wow.
And so I called to the beaver. My brother Dave had taught me this beaver call, so I thought I'm going to try that out. So I tried making this call, sort of going like ee, 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 like that. And the beaver came right over to us, right over. And just my friend was a little bit freaked out. She says, I've never been this close to a live beaver while I'm swimming before. But that's the kind of place it is. It's like you're so connected to creation here, and it just feels really, really good.
I bet it does. And what I'm going to do, Jan, is what I did was I downloaded the picture of your article in the July issue. And what you wrote about. And so I want to bring that picture up for everybody to see. And because what I'd like to do is ask you a question about how you how you bring to the magazine your beliefs, your culture, the place that you write from, because the article that you wrote was about the four directions, the four directions and the four medicines, and the grandmothers. It was a wonderful article, and how we are so connected to nature and to each other. And so, if you could share with our audience a bit about that.
Okay. Well, that story that was done for July was one of the fiction pieces I've written, and when I sit down and just go into my center place, connect to my spirit, and I ask for whatever story would like to be told, and so that's kind of where those fictional stories come from. They come from a spirit place. So it's a little bit like, me watching a TV, and I'm shown the story unfolding, kind of thing, and usually what happens is the story is just the tapestry or the weaving of teachings about various things. So that story incorporated the four sacred medicines, the tobacco, the cedar, the sage, and the sweetgrass, and the importance of connection to the spirit world. So the grandmothers were that connection, and sort of the teaching about how close that spirit world actually is to us and how accessible that help is to us. It's a very normal thing to me to call upon those grandmothers and grandfathers or ancestors who have gone before us. And so that's kind of how the story reveals itself. That's just one of the ways it reveals itself. There are many magical ways. Sometimes I just pick up a stone and the stone actually tells me the story. And that will probably be one of the future stories that you'll be reading in Star Nations magazine.
Yay! Yeah, you've also written for the upcoming special issue in October. Each year we do a special issue. It's a giveaway to say thank you to our readers and to our community. And so it's a free issue for digital, and it's just the printing cost for the print on demand. And Jan, this year in October, the topic is Mother Earth or Grandmother Earth, and so Jan is one of the authors for her article in that special issue. And I think you're really gonna like it because it's very special. Do you want to share just a little bit about that one?
Let's see. Remind me of the title of that one, Nessie.
Oh, sure. I'm going to have to look it up.
Is that the Return of the Thunderbird Clan?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, that story actually is a non-fictional story. So it actually happened. There's an old story. There's a very old story that I have read that says that long, long ago, the clans came to the people. Like we had to the Anishinaabe people, there were holy people came to the Anishinaabe to deliver the clans that they were to have. And the story that I read said that one of those clans was the Thunderbird clan. And at that time, the Thunderbird medicine was too strong for the people. And the Thunderbird had to go down into the ocean until such time as the people were strong enough to hold that medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And so the story that I wrote was about a winter solstice ceremony that we had some years ago. And during that ceremony and following that ceremony, people began to have experiences with these massive birds coming to them, the Thunderbirds. Uh-huh. And so many people were having dreams. They were riding the Thunderbirds, or they were a Thunderbird. Mm-hmm. And it just became obvious to me that ceremony opened a portal, and that Thunderbird medicine was making itself known and was looking for its clan. Mm-hmm. And so that whole story is an unfolding of what happened as a result of the ancient wisdom that the Thunderbirds returned to us. And it's a whole teaching about how the Thunderbirds showed us about the counterclockwise spiral medicine that they carry, and how they create the lightning with their wings and the thunder, and what that medicine means. And the upshot of it all was they were asking for this special medicine wheel to be built that would carry that medicine and allow people to access that medicine in a gentle manner. Mm-hmm. So when they walked into the medicine wheel in a clockwise way, which is the turtle's way, mm-hmm. they would get to the center and come to a place of unity, and unity would be felt in their heart, and they would feel the medicine of that turtle, that gentle medicine of the turtle, bringing them into unity. And then they would have to walk back out of that wheel counterclockwise, and that would bring the medicine of the Thunderbird to them to really fire up the manifestation of those dreams that they hold in their heart, those dreams that carry that medicine, that unity medicine. Uh-huh. And release it out into the world. So that's what that story was about. It was just about that, the time we're in now on Mother Earth, that coming into unity, that remembrance of our ancient medicines, the picking up of the clans, all of that mm-hmm. is happening right now to so many people. Uh-huh. And I don't know how many people I've met since then who, people who weren't even at that ceremony, who tell me the stories of the Thunderbirds coming to them. Mm-hmm. And so it's been just an incredible journey. And of course, the Thunderbirds, since that story sort of came and that medicine came, they've been revealing to us that their connection with the dragons. Oh. So in other parts of the world, the dragons are the ones that mm-hmm. carry that powerful creation medicine.
Right.
And so that's kind of how that's unfolding now.
This is just fascinating because the Anishinaabeg culture and the Thunderbirds, and that the Thunderbirds goes across many different native nations here on Turtle Island, right? And then you tie in, the dragon belief, and really when it comes right down to it, we are more alike than we are different, as humans, as beings on this earth, and how we share this home with so many, as Dana would say, the seen and unseen, right?
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Well, that's really what unity is.
Yeah.
It's about Black Elk's vision of the sacred hoop and all colors coming together in that circle. And the circle is not complete until all of the colors of nations come together mm-hmm. in that sacred hoop.
Right.
And really, that's the time we're in right now.
Exactly.
We're called into unity.
Mm-hmm. And we chose to be here at this time. It's not a fluke. It's not a coincidence. It's, for everybody who is here in a human form at this time, it was divinely orchestrated, and and to be able to bring forth that unity. We all have the capability of doing that, And I just wanted to share with people, Jan. I was wanting to make sure that I had your title and all of that and your designation correct. And I had asked you if it was correct about referring to you as an Anishinaabe elder. And you helped me understand that in the Anishinaabe people, that the elder is designated by the community. Yes. And so I wanted to make sure that, because I used that reference in some of the promotions that I did for tonight's show. And so I just want to make sure everybody knows that here at Star Nations, in our community, we see Jan as one of our elders. And so she is considered a Star Nations elder. And so lots of times we turn to Jan and because Connie is watching the show. She's also one of our Star Nations elders. And many times we turn to our elders in our community for advice and sometimes direction. And so I just wanted to make sure everybody understood the distinction, and wanting to respect and honor the Anishinaabe people and how they designate their elders. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, sharing that with me. I appreciate it. And with that, the Anishinaabe people from where you live up in Canada, because actually the Anishinaabe people are spread out quite far from Canada all the way down to Mexico, really. And it's to the East Coast and to the West Coast, Yeah, and so when you contribute your writings to the magazine, and you're writing from that place of spirit, that overlay of the Anishinaabe perspective of spirit, when you're writing, do you ever find, because sometimes I find this happening with me in my writings, is that trying to express what spirit is coming through and through that lens of your culture, and we're really addressing a lot of people who are non-native people, and so they might not understand some of the words we're using or some of the phrases and that sort of thing. Do you ever find yourself having to kind of back up a little bit and do a little teaching in there? Because otherwise it's lost.
Yeah, I try and do that. And that's really, I find the fictional pieces that I write are very helpful for explaining some of those things. So explaining about the sacred medicines, or the sacred fire, or the connection to the spirit realms, or the aliveness of things like stones and trees, and all of that thing. All of those kinds of ways of being, or ways of believing, are very much rooted in Anishinaabe teachings. But when I'm the fictional pieces, I guess, are good for that. But what I find happens is when I'm writing the stories of the sacred journeys that I take, and generally speaking, those sacred journeys are very much directed and came as a result of when I was gifted sacred pipe. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't an Anishinaabe pipe that I was gifted. It was gifted to me by holy people who came to our community from South America. Oh. And it's a very old turtle pipe.
Uh-huh.
And so most of those sacred journeys that I write about and the places in the world I've been directed to go come as a result of that pipe that I carry. She directs those journeys, and they very much transcend anything Anishinaabe.
Yeah.
They seem to be more universal. So I've been in writing those stories, even though some of the ceremonies I do within those sacred journeys are very much come from my Anishinaabe background. The work itself and how it all unfolds and the magic that happens on those journeys is very much universal or cosmic or something. It transcends any kind of cultural limitation or box.
Yeah.
And so those stories very often can be very different in feeling than the ones that I write from my own cultural perspective. So it really depends, like on each one is very unique because each one has its own particular set of helpers who are working in the other realms to unfold all of that. And sometimes they can be from anywhere, So I never know from one story to the next how that story is going to actually resonate with people. But truly, I feel that the energy now that many are working in is more of that universal energy that applies to everyone and calls to all hearts,
And thank you for saying that. And listeners, watchers of the video, our audience, this is kind of the backstory of our contributing writers. I mean, this is stuff that you're not going to really see in the actual article, and to be able to hear Jan's voice and to be able to feel where she's coming from in what she writes. And so this is what the show is really a lot about, is introducing the writers and the radio show host to you, and so that you can actually understand at a soul level the kind of work that they're doing. And we just happen, thank goodness, count my blessings with it, that Star Nations magazine and the radio and the Academy, that we're able to be the conduit for these kinds of stories and teachings, and to help us remember that we have this blueprint that's inside of us already. And so Jan, through her writing, Jan is helping us to remember that we are part of this universal energy. And just as a side note, Jan was at the ceremony, was part of the ceremony for the gifting of my pipe, my Chanupa. And that was a couple years ago. And so it's kind of nice to have that connection with you, Jan, that it's a memory I'll always hold close to my heart, that you were a part of that ceremony of the gifting of the Chanupa to me. So
it was such an honor to be there, Neshi. I just I just get chills thinking about that moment and that ceremony.
Me too. I always get kind of misty-eyed about it. It's good. It's joyful tears. It's joyful feeling, and that sort of thing. And I think Kelly was there too, weren't you, Kelly? She's in the chat room. I think Kelly was there too, if I remember right. So Jan, I just wanted to thank you, Ketchi Miigwech, and for an elder, Egwien. That's Potawatomi. It's a very formal thank you. For taking the time to be with us tonight and to share about your experience as a writer and what you bring to Star Nations. I want to thank you for that and spending time with us this evening.
Oh, Chi Miigwech, Neshi, it was my pleasure. to be here with all of you.
And so, in closing with Jan's part of the interview, the show, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners and with the audience? Anything that you'd like to leave them with?
Well, I would like to invite anyone who would like to come and delve more deeply into spirit, to come to a place where I teach up here in Canada. It's called Northern Edge Algonquin. It's an amazing retreat center right on the edge of Algonquin Park, which is a wilderness park, and on a beautiful lake. It's off the grid, so no electromagnetic fields there. The food is amazing. The accommodations are amazing. And we do a variety of different shamanic programs there, weekend programs and longer term programs and things of that nature. I love teaching there, and I would love to see all of you there. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for reading all of the stories, the amazing stories that get published in Star Nations magazine. And I look forward to meeting and seeing many of you in my travels, wherever that may take me. So thank you very much for this opportunity, Neshi.
Yes, no problem. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Bye.
Thanks. Okay, bye-bye.
Wasn't that fun? Just to listen to how she writes and where she writes from, and she is truly a storyteller in many, many ways, not just writing, but how she brings those stories from her elders out to us. It's just amazing, amazing. Before I sign off for the night, I just wanted to do a little promotional work, right? That's what we got to do here. Don't forget, Star Nations magazine. This is the July issue. And you can get the Star Nations magazine in print on demand. You can get it as a digital magazine for your mobile devices. You can get it as a PDF, so you can read it on whatever computer you have. You can also get it as a web viewer. If you're one of those people who really don't want to have the physical and you don't want it to clutter up your hard drive either, we also have that. So we have 5 different ways that you can read the magazine. And you can go to our website, which is starnations.org, and you can see how you can order your copy. And I'll put the nations, if I can spell tonight, that would be great. There we go. starnations.org. Okay. And check it out. We got lots of different things going on there. Lots of information. And also Star Nations as publishers. We published 2 books this summer. This is The Tarot Journey by Julie Hedges. It's a great book about the ancient language of the Tarot. And if you're interested in Tarot to learn or to advance your skill in it, it's a great book to have. And then there is, just want to hide that, Missing Nana by author Minnie Kansman. And this is a special book. She calls it a children's book, but it is for everybody. She says from children from 3 to 103. And it's about how the nature spirits can help us with our grief and how to move through our grief with some grace. Yeah. And to help us explain to children who may be just experiencing their first loss of a loved one through, them transitioning back into spirit. They're maybe a grandfather, grandmother, Nana. And so it's a wonderful book. And the books are available in print and also as ebooks. And you can get those at lulu.com. You can get it at Barnes & Noble or at Amazon.com. So, hi, Cheryl Stewart. Hello there. You came in right at the very end of the show, Cheryl. We do have it archived. Once we're done, the video will curate in. It's almost immediately. The live stream will become a recorded, and you can listen to Jan and how she shared her writing perspective from us, from the Anishinaabe, from a Native American woman perspective in Star Nations magazine. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining me tonight. Thank you, Cheryl, for coming in, and Kelly and Connie. And I just want to make sure I get everybody in there. It's hard to scroll all the way down. There we go. I think I got everybody. So, even though it's going to be a video, recorded video, you can always leave your comments, and we'll see them, and we'll answer you the best we can. And please also remember to share it with your friends. Okay? All right. Well, thank you for joining me on Tuesday night, August 8th, for Star Nations Communications from Home. And I'm going to say Bama Mina, which is Potawatomi, for until we meet again next Tuesday night. And next Tuesday night is the 15th, and I do believe my guest is Julie Hedges. Yay! We're going to hear from Julie, okay? So join me next week for Communications from Home. See you. Have a nice evening. Good night, everybody.